We are now ready to enter our papers. In order to get your paper Roxified, you have to put it in. Now, this program will not let you type online. If you do, you want to play with it, go ahead, but you'll see that everything is written backwards. Okay, just a fun little way to make sure that you do it my way. All right, now, you've got to enter your paper from any word processing document. So it doesn't take a PDF, but it does take Microsoft Word or Pages or a text file, even if you're using that format. So you will simply enter your paper into the box. So put your cursor here. Once you've copied and pasted, and click Paste, and then click Enter. Done. Easy enough, right? Okay, now at the top you'll notice there are a number of different words. We've got cliches, warnings, AWL, /GSL, vocabulary, citations, results, and reload another essay. Don't hit this one yet. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is click on one of the buttons. I want to look at cliches first, so I'm going to click on it, and over on the side here I notice that I have a number of different cliches. It's highlighted in red. I've got something called plague words highlighted in black, idioms in yellow, and slang in pink. Next to each one of these, you will see a number of different chains. Each of these chains is a link to a place on the internet that can help you with your independent learning. These chains continue throughout all of the buttons that we have over here. So, the first button that we're going to look at is cliches, and basically cliches are not to be used in academic writing. They have no place. In Roxify Online, it will tell you how many cliches or plague words or idioms or slang words you have in your paper. Now, this particular paper has 13 cliches in it. Right? It says that you are still using cliches in your writing and they should not be used. You want to avoid these at all costs. Another cliche. Each of these links will take you to a site that shows you a list of cliches. The program does not teach you how to correct them. You have to work this out yourself. The same thing goes for plague words, idioms, and slang. These should not be used in academic writing. The next button that I'm clicking on is warnings. Warnings are things that, again, we should be careful about using them. They're not necessarily wrong, but you have to use your judgment. So the first one is misspellings. Now, misspellings could be that you have used a hyphenated word. This shows up as being a misspelling. Misspellings are almost always proper nouns, people's names, words in foreign languages. So, for example, I want to say, who is your mother? Bingo sumama. And I write it in Chinese and anglicized letters. It doesn't show up as a properly spelled word. It's highlighted in green. It's a misspelling. You yourself know this is done correctly, but it's there to warn you. Contractions should never be used in academic writing. However, sometimes when we're citing someone or quoting or using information from an interview, contractions show up. We would use them in the writing. So they're still acceptable in certain places. Pronouns are highlighted for any inclusive pronoun. So this includes we, you, us, our, your. These again are not used in academic writing, but again, you may have been doing some research with a partner and you wouldn't say Tom and Rox have done this. You would say we. So it's acceptable. You need to use your judgment on this. Value-laden words are words like correct, right, wrong, black, white. They're words that could cause emotional reactions from some of the users or from some of your readers. But again, you have to use your judgment to see if it's correct. Okay? If you have used the word correct, saying something like, the student's writing was done very correctly, she got an A on the paper, this is a good usage of the word. If you say something like, the student has the correct attitude toward learning, they are doing it the correct way, This is value laden. It has an emotive reaction with some people, so you want to change it. Again, everything on the warnings page you need to use your judgment for. Be prepared to tell your teacher why you did it that way. Okay, the next tab we have is AWL and GSL. Now, NGSL. What we are looking at here is the percentage of your paper that uses academic vocabulary. You want to make sure you're writing at a level appropriate for your age. So if you're a secondary school student using this, you want to be writing at a college level or a secondary level. If you're a university student, you don't want to be writing at that level. You want to make sure you're using university level writing. So you want to use academic vocabulary. These are big words in some sense. Again, there are links on this page that will take you to the academic word list for you to look at to see whether or not you're using them correctly or whether you're using academic vocabulary. The NGSL is a list of words that are the first words learned by people who are learning English as a second language. Now these are highlighted not because they're wrong, they are highlighted in red, but it's not because they're wrong, it's just to make you aware that you're using rather simplistic language. A lot of times we don't realize it because it's very common language. And another thing that I've noticed is this kind of language is language that's repeated very frequently throughout the text, so we might want to try and use some synonyms or replace it with more academic vocabulary. Okay, the next button that we have here is vocabulary, and this one is quite difficult to understand. There's quite a lot of information on here, so I'll try and explain it bit by bit. Okay, the first thing that we have is duplicates. The very first one, duplicate words. Duplicate words are words that you're using more than 5 times in every 100 words. So you're using them just way too much, too frequently, and you want to start using synonyms. If you're using the same word over and over and over and over, it bores your reader. Use synonyms. Change your vocabulary. The next one listed is key vocabulary. This is the vocabulary that we entered on the source vocabulary page with the container and the little monster at the top of the page and the billboard on the side. These are words that you've been using that have come from the source text. You might want to try and find synonyms for them. Some words you're not going to be able to change. So, for example, if I were writing an essay on nuclear energy is not something that I can easily change. I have to use it. That's fine. This page does not tell you the number of times that you've used this word, the number of words that you've used from the key vocabulary sources, the source vocabulary, but it tells you the number of instances, so the number of times that you've used the word. So, for example, I have 15 different words in key vocabulary in my yellow words in the container, but I've used them 27 times. So there's going to be a mismatch between the number of instances and the number of words that you have in key vocabulary if you took the time to count them in the very beginning. Right? But again, this is just the number of instances, so don't be alarmed by it, but do try to change them. Try to use synonyms if you must, if you would like to. All right, the next one, yellow, discourse markers. Discourse markers is given to you as a percentage on your paper, how many you've used in here, and you want to make sure that you're using them correctly. That's the first problem. Are they being used correctly? The second problem we have is how many are you using? If you've got one every other sentence or one in every sentence, you're using them way too frequently. So you want to make sure that they're absolutely necessary. Eliminate them if you can. Okay? And again, there are a number of links here that you can go to that will help you to determine whether or not you need to use them. The next button is hedging. And hedging is, again, here to show you how often you've used it, how frequently you've used it. In academic writing, you want to use hedging throughout your paper. It's used to show your opinion on a source, on the validity of a source. It's used to show how much you agree with the source, or how much you disagree with a source, or maybe it's used to show respect to the writer. But you want to make sure that you've got it. If you're showing up with no hedging, you need to fix your paper. The final thing on this page is statistical meta-language. Again, if you're writing a paper that doesn't have any, you're going to have 0, that's fine. Statistical meta-language is simply here to show you where it is, where it's been used within the text, and you just want to make sure that you're using it properly and using it correctly. There is a link on here to take you to another page to help you. The next button we have up here is Citations. Now, Citations does not tell you whether you've inserted them correctly or not. What it does is it highlights them to show you where you've cited cited sources within the text, and it also highlights the reporting verbs that you've used. So this is based on whether or not you've added a citation list, a reference list, a bibliography, a works cited page at the bottom of your paper, at the end of your paper. If you have not done so, you will have 0 citations, and this will tell you you need to put them in. If your paper doesn't require citations, ignore this page. But if it does, what you want to look at is the way that you've integrated the citation within your text. So just check, look to see if it's right, click the link to make sure. Right? My strong advice is click the link to make sure. The next page that we're going to move into is results, and when we get there, we'll start again. Okay, now we've come to the results page, and on the results page, we have 2 separate things. Over here, we have a lot of colorful items. It's everything that was on the tab pages earlier. And what we can see is we've got a category, a number of words, and a percentage. All right? So we're just going to go through just a couple of these so that I can show you what it does. All right? Now, on the categories, the first one we have here is AWL, and we've got AWL either is going to be in red, yellow, or green. Okay? And if it's in red, you're just not using it. You haven't got any in there at all, or you haven't used any, you haven't used enough. Your percentage is at a level that you're writing at maybe primary school level. Maybe you've got 1 or 2% within your paper. It's not very good, okay? It tells you the number of words that you've used. These are an item by item count, so it's a word count. And finally, it gives you the percentage of your overall paper that is academic vocabulary. Now, as we scroll down through this, what we can see is we've got the GSL coming after this, and the NGSL will tell us how many of those very basic words we've used. Again, it's an instance number. If it is yellow, it's a little bit too much, okay? If it's red, it's over the top. It's way too many, and you need to eliminate them. You need to start using synonyms. Try and use more academic vocabulary to make your writing better. In here, we have a number of different items. We've got cliches, idioms, slang, plague words, and key vocabulary, duplicate vocabulary, pronouns, misspellings, discourse markers, value-laden words, contractions, and hedging. And as we go down, what you need to do is simply scroll down the page, and these numbers will go up and down. All right? Now, I just want to tell you a couple of items that we have in here. Key vocabulary and discourse markers are given to you as a percentage. They're given as the number of instances and the percentage of the paper. The percentage in this case means absolutely nothing. Don't worry about it. All right? The color of these items is based on how many times you've used the same ones again and again and again. If it's red, you're using too many of them. Now, under key vocabulary, there is another problem. If it is red and the number is 0, it could be one of 2 things. Right? Either you have not entered the source vocabulary and it's not showing up at all, so it's not going to help you. You would have seen that on the vocabulary page. Or you've entered this key vocabulary And job well done, you have none. Okay? All right, so I'm going to slip over to this other side, and I'm just going to explain the items over here. So the first thing that we have at the top of the page, we have something very simple for you. We have the number of words that are in your essay. Very frequently, your teachers will ask you to submit that information to them. We have something called the number of sentences. This is here to help me as a researcher, maybe to help you if you're having to write a 5-legged essay, for example, and your teacher wants 250 sentences, 5 paragraphs each. You can divide it out and look at how many sentences you've used and make sure you're hitting the mark. Not sure it's going to happen very frequently, but sometimes it does. Also, if you're doing a haiku, you're going to need it, right? Okay. The next item we have on here is the Flash Kincaid Reading Ease Scale, and this gives you a score from 0 to 100 to tell you what level you're writing at, and this is where it generates the next item, the level of text that you're writing at, so the grade level. This is based on the one above it. Again, this might be used by your teacher. Finally, it gives you a comment on the difficulty level of the reading. Now, just because it says it's difficult to read or fairly difficult to read, that doesn't mean it's wrong. It means that you're writing at a higher level. So if you're writing at a university level, it's going to say this is a difficult level of text. If you're writing at an upper secondary school level, it's going to say it's fairly difficult. If you are writing at a PhD level or above, it's going to say that it is an extremely difficult text to read. Okay, so it doesn't mean it's bad, it just means that you're writing at that academic level. Finally, there is a warning on here just to remind you that this is for formative feedback only. It has no impact on your grades. This is here, this whole program is here to help you with your independent learning, to help you with your writing, to help you improve as English as a second language writer. The last thing that we have over here are the stoplights, and the stoplights are red, yellow, and green, and basically it just tells you where you're writing over here. All right, so red, you might want to fix it. You've got some problems on this paper yet, referring back to the percentages and the numbers. Yellow, be prepared to explain to your teacher. Yellow isn't wrong, it's not bad, but you might be questioned on it. Green, job well done. Fantastic. Thank you very much for using Roxify Online. The final button that we have over here is a button that's called Reload Another Essay. If you want to reload another essay and in the same topic, you've made some changes while you were going through Roxify on your Word document, and you want to check again. You want to make sure that you've got rid of all those cliches, or you want to make sure that there are no more slang, or that you've improved the misspellings. You found a couple and they were wrong, and you've changed them. Simply hit the button, and it goes blank. All right, and then we just enter again, copy and paste the new essay in, and we start again. If you want to start over completely, and you want to enter new key vocabulary, you need to hit the little refresh button for the web page or re-enter the URL, roxifyonline.com. That's all you need to do and start over again. I hope this was able to help you improve your writing and to help you become a more independent learner. Thank you very much.
Okay.